Welcome to the video guide for disassembling and assembling the piston filler at College of the Ozarks Fruitcake and Jelly Kitchen. This piston filler is a two-headed piston filler. For the purpose of this video, we will demonstrate disassembling and assembling one half of the machine. Simply repeat the steps for the other side. Before we begin, please lay out the two rubber mats provided. This will help minimize damage should a part fall to the ground. Great, now let's get started. The process begins by removing the high-temperature product hose from the top of the assembly. To do this, loosen the tri-clamp, being careful not to drop the O-ring when it disconnects. Then, safely stow away the hose or it will be cleaned in a future step. You will want to place all loose items, including tri-clamps, O-rings, and other parts, on the three blue trays. Next, you will remove the 90-degree elbow in the same fashion by first loosening the tri-clamp, lifting off the 90-degree elbow, and being careful not to drop the O-ring sandwiched in between. Place these items on the tray as well. Now it's time to remove the two-way splitter that delivers product to both heads of the piston filler. At this point, you've probably noticed that the tri-clamps are tightened down very securely. This is necessary because they create seals that will help avoid product leakage. All other screws do not need to be tightened down as securely because they are not necessary for creating good seals with the product. Additionally, you don't want to strip any of the screws, as this would create permanent damage. Next, it is time to remove the piston filler head itself by again loosening a tri-clamp and being careful not to drop the O-ring as you pull it apart. You must also disconnect the air hoses by pushing in the little blue collar and sliding them apart. Great, now place these in a new tray. You are now ready to remove the three-way valve. You want to make sure you use two hands for this operation because this part is very heavy and also very expensive, coming in at around $3,500 for each side. Place the three-way valve in a tray. It will require further disassembly, but we'll get to that after we finish with the piston filler. It's now time to remove the piston filler tube. As the name implies, product is drawn into this tube before discharging it into the product jars. It might only be necessary to unscrew the black plastic tab. However, an Allen wrench might be necessary to loosen the inner side to slide it out comfortably. Place the tube in a blue tray. Be careful to keep it horizontal, as any excess product could spill out onto the floor, and that would create a mess. Next, grab a ratchet to remove the white cylinder from inside of the tube. When you remove the bolt, be very careful because it does have a washer. This is probably the smallest part of the entire disassembly process, and it would be very easy to lose. Nobody wants to deal with that. Once the bolt is removed, the cylinder will slide right off. Place the parts in a blue tray, and then you'll notice you are done disassembling the piston filler. Simply repeat these same steps on the other side. It's now time to fully disassemble the smaller parts. Begin with the piston filler head. You'll notice it has two screws on either side. Take an Allen wrench and begin working these off. This process does take some time, but you want to do it carefully because the black portion of the piston filler head is rubber and any stripping would cause permanent damage. Once they're loose, simply pull off the top of the piston filler head and then remove the gasket from the inside. You will then notice that the top piece has a very small O-ring. This will need to be removed and cleaned, however it will be most helpful to use an O-ring removal tool during the cleaning process when you're at the sink. It's now time to disassemble the three-way valve. There are two rings on either side that require some pinching before sliding them out. If necessary, use pliers. That will make the process a little bit easier. If you're up for the challenge, try using your hands to remove it. We'll wait for you to get it. Nice work. Now you can tip out the metal cap, and now you're ready to remove the inside. To do this, grab a rubber mallet and the plastic driver. You never want to hit the mallet directly on the stainless steel, as that could cause permanent damage. Tap gently several times, and the inside will simply slide out. There are two O-rings you will need to remove. One is located on the tube that you just slid out, and then the other is on the inside of the three-way valve. To remove it, use the tool, or simply pinch it with your fingers and slide it off. At this point, you're probably wondering where in the world the other O-ring is. Well, it's located around the inside of the valve. You will definitely want to use a tool to remove this, as it would be very difficult to do with just your fingers. However, if you don't have an O-ring remover, you can simply use a very small flathead screwdriver, and that should do the trick. And that's it. You're done disassembling the piston filler. Now take all of the parts to the back of the kitchen where each part needs to be washed, rinsed, and sanitized. Welcome back. Now it's time to begin the assembly process for the piston filler. We're going to follow the exact same steps from the first half of this video, simply in reverse order. To begin, place the O-ring back inside of the three-way valve. You will then slide the second O-ring back onto the inside portion of the three-way valve. Now you're ready to slide the part back inside of the three-way valve. You will notice that the parts for the other side of the piston filler are very similar, yet they are the reverse image of each other. So make sure that you're sliding the left-hand side part back into the left-hand side three-way valve, and vice versa. To secure the part inside of the valve, simply pinch the ring and it will slide in. On the other side, place the metal cap, making sure the smooth side is facing out. Then you'll simply pinch the ring and you're good to go. Now let's slide over to the piston filler head. Start by grabbing the discharge nozzle and place the O-ring back inside. Make sure the smooth side of the O-ring is facing downward. Next, you'll simply slide the two parts back together. In order to get a snug fit, it might be necessary to apply some pressure. Great. Now, double check that the screw holes are aligned, and then simply take an Allen wrench to tighten down each of the screws. Remember, these screws do not need to be tight, they simply need to be snug. Awesome. You're done reassembling the smaller parts of the piston filler. Now let's start putting it all back together. Start by grabbing the bolt, the white cylinder, and a ratchet. You'll then walk over to the piston filler, slide on the white cylinder, insert the screw, and ratchet it in place. You'll notice that the white cylinder contains two O-rings. These were removed during the cleaning process and have already been reattached. Again, don't ratchet the bolt too tightly. You simply want to make sure it's snug and creates a good seal. Next, it's time to retrieve the metal tube. This will simply slide on. Now remember, if you used an Allen wrench to loosen the tube during the disassembly process, you'll need to grab the same Allen wrench again to tighten it back down. Remember, this doesn't need to be tight, it simply needs to be snug. Perfect. Repeat this step for the opposite side of the piston filler, and then grab the three-way valve. To ensure that you're placing the three-way valve in the correct orientation, check to make sure that the screw head is facing outward. This will allow you to calibrate the machine without removing the three-way valves. Don't forget to slide that O-ring back between the valve and the tube. It is absolutely necessary for creating a good seal, and if it's not there, product is going to leak everywhere, creating a huge mess, and nobody wants to deal with that. Then reattach the tri-clamp. Orient it in such a way that it'll be easy to remove in the future. It might be necessary to unscrew it slightly to get it to slide back on, but once you've done so, tighten it down very snugly. Remember, this is a crucial point for avoiding product leakage. Awesome. Now once you've finished, repeat this process on the other side of the piston filler. Then, grab 2 more O-rings, 2 more tri-clamps, and the Y splitter. Place an O-ring on top of each 3-way valve. You will then simply place the Y splitter on top and use 2 tri-clamps to secure this position. Great! Now go retrieve the 90-degree elbow, grabbing 1 more O-ring and 1 more tri-clamp. You will then place the O-ring on top of the Y splitter, and then place the elbow on top of that. Ensure that you're always paying attention because it's very easy for the elbow to slip out of your hands. Alright, you're almost done. There's one last step. You just need to grab the piston filler head, an O-ring, and a tri-clamp. Walk back to the piston filler, and then sandwich the O-ring in between the head and the filler. Secure a tri-clamp in place, being careful not to drop any of these parts, as gravity will want to pull them down. Once you have securely fastened the tri-clamp, reattach the air hoses. These just slide right on, and you'll notice that one fits more naturally with the other. Repeat this step for the other head, and congratulations, you're done. You have completely reassembled the 2-headed piston filler. For product support, please contact Apex Filling Systems directly. They can be reached over the phone or by connecting to their online help desk. Great work, and thanks for watching.